Oh, so good. Oh, so funny.
Did you have to say okay to the recording?
I just got a warning that we were recording now.
Okay, you didn't have to say okay.
Yeah, no, I think it just default. I'm pretty sure the recording starts with us just laughing hysterically.
Oh my god, that was so incredibly bad. All right. This is how we begin. Welcome to season 3 of Conversations with Kate. I'm sitting here with Rob Gilbear, who is an amazing job coach, but also just a fabulous human being. And we are not here to sell. We are here just to have a human conversation. So, welcome, Rob. Oh my god, that was so funny. Oh god.
I feel like I'm screwed because whenever you and I chat, by the end, my cheeks are normally a bit sore. That is inevitable, but they are starting at a high level of soreness already.
Oh,
so I feel like we have to have the conversation for the next 15 minutes that has to be like boring and unexciting and definitely not humorous because I can't handle it for a few minutes.
We're totally screwed. That was awesome. So I was talking to someone yesterday, and I'm going to give this away because it was really funny. I said to the person, because she and I have a really good rapport, like a really nice rapport, and I said, we were just trying to talk about what working from home is like, and the fact that it's a big deal if you like actually put on a bra or pants or whatever. And I said, I put on a bra for you, and she's like, I put on a bra for you too. She's like, it's kind of like a Thundercoat. I don't know if you know what a Thundercoat or a thunder jacket is, but if you have like a dog that's terrified of thunder and you put this like heavy constricting thing on the dog, it actually calms them down. So she was basically talking about
it's a Thundercoat to calm her down.
Yes, the Thundercoat, which I think was like fabulous. Like, yeah, I'm pretty terrifying. So I can see why you would need a Thundercoat. I laughed till I cried then you too. Oh my God, that's twice in 2 days. Thank you. Thank you, universe. Let us drink together. Okay. So just so you know, we just talk.
Great. I love conversation. I love unscripted conversation.
So when I was coming out here to this is my second tea. This isn't scotch. Okay. I have this. Okay. When I was coming out here this morning, it wasn't just raining. It was seriously like the kind of raining, like I told you this already, build the ark, right? And I was just like wet rat. The funniest thing is like, you didn't have me on your calendar. Well, I had you on my calendar for 10 o'clock. So I like was hustling out here. I got my light set up and I'm like trying to figure out what to do. So I have like this little plastic container hanging from the light that's on the ceiling. And I just looked straight at it so I can't see anything. And I hung it up there with painter's tape. So at some point during this conversation, that thing's going to fall. And all of a sudden it's going to be like, I don't know, really over lighted, lit. My mom told me that lit only means drunk. So I wasn't allowed to use the word lit. Different generations and all that.
Different generation, exactly.
Yeah. Wow. So anyway, so I was in here like trying to dry off and I took off my sweater and like hang up my jacket and all this stuff. And all of a sudden I realized I didn't have my phone. I had to go back. So like running through okay. So hello, do you have anything that's currently on your mind about the world, the universe, internal or external, that you'd like to talk about? Because if not, I'm going to tell you about my toad.
I just want to say that I am feeling this like deep level of gratitude because I had a call with someone this morning who was a total stranger who booked a call with me based off seeing some pieces of my content. And it was a lovely conversation and it was an incredible connection. And I was smiling and laughing the whole time. And between, I think the kind of people I'm getting to work with currently, the things that are in my calendar, I've constructed this life that almost feels fake. Like I can't believe this is my life right now. So I'm in a great place. I'm beaming currently, and that's kind of what I'm present to. But that doesn't mean that I don't want to hear your Toad story.
Well, we might get to my Toad story, but I have a question for you. You made a really, really, really big leap. Now, this isn't like an interview. This is a question. This is a serious question. You made a really, really big leap from one type of work to another. When you made that move from, you did DJ, then you did corporate, then you did coaching, right? When you did you do overlap between the coaching and your corporate?
A little bit for a few months. I did a few months. I had a couple of clients on the side, but I knew that it was really just me and avoiding the inevitable. And I knew that things would really turn around once I went all in. Not everyone is the burn the boats kind of person, but I definitely am a burn the boats kind of person. And then once I'm in, I'm committed, and it means that it's going to work out. It has no other choice because I am so committed to making it work out. And I'm going to iterate. I'm going to experiment. I'm going to try different things until it does. So I did overlap for a few months, maybe 5 or 6, but then I had a really bold declaration. And that was part of my whole success is if you go back to my content on LinkedIn, which is unfortunately LinkedIn is structured in a way that it sucks to go look at someone's old content because it means like going down and down. But if you do that and you go see the third piece of non-corporate content that I ever put out on LinkedIn was my video of me declaring that I've quit my job and I'm going all in with my coaching business. That video got over 20,000 views. It got hundreds of likes. It went crazy. And I was overwhelmed with inbound leads and inquiries and people who wanted to work with me, so much so that I had to quit my job a month earlier than planned.
Oh, that's awesome.
Handle the business.
Did you have any epic fails?
On that, along the way? Well, before that, I think 5 years ago, I launched a motivational music project. It was called Nuberto, and I did it incognito, and people didn't know it was me. And I had this big launch video, and I had all these goals and these things I was going to do in a 2-year span. And I started achieving some of the goals, but then I hit a rough patch, and I wasn't committed to it, and I didn't sustain it, and that royally failed. And in retrospect, it has to do a lot more with the fact that I chose goals for that project that I thought would inspire others. The whole point of the project was to do something inspiring, to prove to myself that I could do something that I didn't think was possible, and to show a whole bunch of other people that you can really do crazy things and you can do things you don't think you're capable of. The high level goal was good. I was aligned to it. Unfortunately, the sub-level goals that were like, these are the 50 things I was going to do in 50 years, were things that were a lot more about what I think would inspire and excite other people, and a lot less what would inspire and excite me. So then as I hit the rough patches, because there's ups and downs as you do, I wasn't committed, and I gave up on that. And that 8 years ago, I had a blog called Celebrate Mondays, which is the same thing. I was inspired. I was really wanted to show other people that you can live life a different way. That doesn't have to be about living for the weekend. And I maybe got less than a dozen posts out, maybe 10. And then I was inconsistent. And then I went, same thing, like life showed up with some struggles. And then I was really quick and not committed to it. My habits weren't in place. And my inner dialogue, I was still full of, not feeling I am worth it and I'm not good enough and who am I? And we all struggle with those things, but I didn't have the mentors or the tools or the things in place to help me deal with that. So not so much failure this time around. It's been pretty easy going. Like COVID smacked me like everyone else, but I approached it differently. I could talk about what I did there, but this time around it's been like win, dip, more wins, little dip, more win. And that's because I face planted really hard previously.
Well, I think first of all, thanks for sharing that, because one of the problems with a lot of things that happens on social media, as you know, is that people curate the magnificent, and it makes a lot of regular people feel like, well, that was some sort of magic that I don't have, because I don't have that magic. I'm going to face plant and I don't know what I'm going to do to get back from that, or I'm going to face plant and bail and just go get a real job or whatever. So thanks for sharing that. That was super brave. But the main thing is really funny is you're talking about internal alignment. And I've been thinking a lot about this myself, to be honest, alignment in general and identity, because I feel like I do my best work. when I'm in alignment, which is just like, duh, okay, it makes sense, right? But so much of what the world asks of us is work that's outside of alignment, where you just got to suck it up and do it. If you're, I'm going to laugh again because of our previous conversation, but so I'm going to avert my eyes. And it's like, it may not be what you're best at or, what you dream of or whatever, but you got to just do it. There's rent to pay, there's mortgages, there's health insurance in our country where we have to actually pay for that. It's incredibly expensive. Just pointing that out. In case you haven't noticed from Robb's beautiful accent, he's from Canada. So where he has healthcare. I don't know how good it is, but it's got to be better than this. Anyway, but my life right now is mixed with both, right? Where I've got work that's of this kind and work that's of that kind. And, it's more like a mosaic, and it's kind of exhausting. To be honest, it's really exhausting. And so I look at someone who's sort of all in and making that work. And that's just, it's very aspirational. I look at that and say, that is really cool, because one of the things I've always been afraid of is like, if you have one person who's hired you, to some degree, who's going to be paying you. Whereas if you're always needing to seek new clients and have them in your, I hate to say, in your funnel or pipeline, or anything I say now is just going to be naughty because how we started this conversation, that on your radar, that perpetual seeking it feels really, really scary and uncertain, like how, you are really, really good at putting yourself out there. But I have a feeling that a lot of the people who find you don't find you from your social stuff. I bet a bunch of people who find you from word of mouth, from other people who have worked with you. Do you have a sense of like how people find you?
Yeah, I have a sense of it. Last year, it was a mix of 80% LinkedIn, 10% Instagram, and 10% referrals. So far this year, it's trending more towards 20% referrals.
Yeah, I believe it.
Yeah. And then it's like referrals and LinkedIn combined. It's not necessarily like Kate tells Jim and then Jim messaged me. It's Kate made a post, or Kate, tagged me in a post or something, and then someone saw me. So it's really like this intersection of social media plus the referral piece. But yeah, someone else saying, this has been great, this has been helpful, working with this person has been awesome, is the best kind of proof you can have, is the best kind of endorsement.
Yeah, I'll say. Especially, in my case, it's true. I love working with you. And by the way, everybody, I work with Robb. Robb works with me. We work together. We're slaying the dragons. No, we're not slaying dragons. We're taming dragons.
Taming dragons.
We're riding dragons.
Dragging dragons.
Yeah. It's not. There's no slaying. there will be no slaying. We are not a slaying group. Okay. So let's see. One of the things that you posted recently was a really cool selfie video thing with you walking through Burning Man. And then afterwards you mentioned that was a time when you were really questioning what you were doing. And then you were kind of like, I don't know. So can you talk to me about Burning Man? I've always wanted to go, but I'm like the whitest white person in the history of whiteness. So unless I covered myself literally from head to foot, either in one of those hazmat outfits or in zinc oxide, I wouldn't be able to go out except after dark. And now I have a family and there's no friggin' way. I'd have to say I'm going to a conference, and that would be a big lie. But can you tell me, like, how was that the first time that you'd ever been there? Like, how did that happen? How the heck did that happen? And did you go before?
It's my third time going. So 2019 was my third time going. I went in 2009, 2010, and then I took a 9-year hiatus and went back in 2019.
Okay, so what made you go? You said you had a gig, but that felt like an excuse to go rather than a reason to go.
Yeah, no, it's an excuse to go. It was, it's really, really great at jarring you in a most powerful, creative, inspiring kind of way. Because you can't buy anything there. You can buy coffee and ice. Everything else is either you got to bring it in, or you're trading and bartering with people, or people are giving you. And the amount of energy, time, money, resources, and efforts that's put into creating larger than life, mind blowing art and things for you to interact with is just on a whole other scale. And it actually ties into my journey from me leaving to secure a 6-figure director level job as a people and culture leader to going into coaching, because when I knew I was unhappy and I knew I wasn't in alignment and I knew something needed to change, one of the things I did is I went back to music, and I went back to the familiar, and I went back to the easy, and it just felt easier and less intimidating than trying to create something totally brand new. So I started making music again, and I started performing a little bit, and I started doing that in 2018. By 2019, I had signed releases on other people's record labels. I played some big festival in the Rocky Mountains. I played at Burning Man. I started playing these other shows again. So it was part of that dialogue. And that Burning Man experience is actually the last time that I performed anywhere. I did some live streams in my kitchen when the pandemic hit, and then I streamed on Facebook.
I'm sorry, I missed that.
Other than that,
I didn't know you yet.
we didn't know each other yet.
No,
but other
yet.
than that, I haven't done anything, which is funny because I came back and chatting with my partner, and I have 5 or 6 songs that are finished that are pretty much ready to go that maybe need some mastering, but I haven't bothered. I turned down gigs. I didn't send any of the demos. I didn't release any other music because I put all of my energy and all of my focus into how was I really going to get serious about launching this coaching business and making a real go of it, instead of it being something that I was 1 foot in and 1 foot out about. So yeah, music is what brought me to Burning Man. In 2008, I had a song that did really well. It was the #1 requested and #1 played song on a Sirius XM station. It did well. It got licensed to compilations in Australia. It was played a bunch on BBC One. It was a big deal in my music career at the time. That led to a bunch of other opportunities, and one of them was someone who runs a big sound camp at Burning Man reaching out and saying, "Hey, you should come. I do this crazy thing in the desert. Come join my camp." I couldn't in 2008, but I went in 2009 and 2010. And then, I felt I was in a time of transition. So I went back in 2019, and it gave me the final dose of clarity I think I needed.
That is really cool. So, and your ears say it too. Okay, everybody, just so we know. If you ever wonder how Rob feels, just check out his ears. He has very expressive ears. Other people have expressive eyebrows. Yes, I know. My internet is unstable. Sorry. I can wiggle mine too. This one. I'm just gonna take this off for a second. Okay. You can't see mine as well. You can't really see them.
I can see them. Okay. I didn't know that was a thing, because you laugh at mine when they move, but I didn't know that yours could wiggle as well.
I can wiggle one at a time, but I'm sure you can too. Yep, you can. Perfect. And that is why we were meant to find each other, to share moments like this. Okay, so in terms of identity, can you imagine holding both, or are you like a one and done guy? Like you're focused on this and this is what you're doing. I'm interviewing you. What the fuck are we doing? We should not be interviewing you. I mean, this is not.
Well, why not?
Well, it's like,
why not?
It's supposed to be a conversation with Kate. You're supposed to be asking me questions. Ask me about my freaking toad. No, seriously though. I mean, can you hold both?
I too, but then you start asking me questions.
Well, you're interesting.
I can hold both, but only for a short period of time, because I feel that I know that the success of one and the outcome of one for me is heavily predicated on whether I am really focused on it or not. So I can hold both for a moment, and while I see and I get like a little footing, but the moment I feel there's a footing, it's like, I'm going to go all in. I'm going to give it my all. I'm going to try. And then what are the worst case scenarios? If it doesn't work out, if things really go terribly, if things go off the rails, then it's not like there's other things. Like it doesn't mean like my life is over, but I'm an all in or all out. I think we spoke about this at one point earlier on in our conversations, that there's either the Viking approach or the Spider-Man approach. And the Viking approach is what works for me.
Yeah.
Which is you burn the ships, and the only way that we're going to get home back safely is if we take the town. And if we don't take the town, we're all dead. So that is the best, deepest motivator you could ever have. It is too scary for some people. And what those other people need, and I believe it's a bit more for you, is the Spider-Man approach. Yes, Spider-Man doesn't let go of the previous building until he's fully latched onto the next one. And he does this. But at some point, even if you're doing the Spider-Man approach, there comes a point where you have to decide, like, okay, I've got some proof of market fit. There's some feedback here that there's some opportunity here. And what if I was able to put more time, energy, and resources towards it and amplifying that? And there's still a scary transition point where you got to pull the Band-Aid off.
True story. All I can think of is Spider Pig, which you probably have. Have you seen Spider Pig?
I don't know what Spider Pig is.
Oh, good Lord, it's SpiderMan, only a pig. All right, it has to do with an alternate universe or something. And I don't know why I know that. Spider Pig, Spider Pig. You're going to have to look it up. Sorry, I did not make it up. This is not me making things up. This, for once, this is not me making things up. I'm not making this up. Okay. So, so my life is more mosaic-y sort of inherently. I'm just going to talk about myself now. And then I'll tell you about my toad because something really funny happened last night. Okay. All right. So generally speaking, you know, I'm an artist, I'm a writer, I'm a consultant. I have different parts of me that all scream for attention. And so I need each piece of that in order to feel fulfilled. Like I need to have really techie conversations, and I need to have moments where I'm flinging paint onto a canvas with my hands. And I need to have time where I'm writing and I'm in that other world that I'm creating, you know, for, you know, I don't know, sanity, I guess. See how well that's working. All right. So anyway, there's different reasons for different things in my life. So the mosaic is actually as critical to me as your singular focus. So, and I know you have other foci. I mean, you have a family, you have partner, you have, you know, life. Okay. So it's not like the only thing I do is coaching, you know, of course not. You do other things. I understand that. But there's these other pieces of me that require like significant attention. Otherwise I start to feel really undernourished and really, really, really like I'm, you know, drinking from an empty cup. It's just sucky. So, one of the things that I'm striving for is more of a sense of balance between those things, giving myself permission. And one of the reasons I put the painting up today and then got the paint on my hand, which is really funny because this is a dry painting, which means it's damp in here, damn it. It also means I didn't do a good job sealing it. But the point is that there's almost nothing that makes me happier than when I look down and I see paint on my hands. And it's not just because I put paint on my hands so I can remind myself that I paint. It's more like paint happens to end up on my hands because I've interacted with the painting. That is a part of me that's really important. So I'm always interested to talk to somebody who has such the clarity that you have. I mean, what happens with your face and your energy when you talk about your work is so, it's like we are taking off in the rocket and the ignition is on and there's no, you know, abort is not an option. We are going, you know, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, wet your pants, 1, go, you know, and there's a really, really intense and beautiful energy about that I have pieces of, but they're in different, you know, they come in different forms, and I have a lot less certainty, I guess. But I think that has to do a lot with, you know, personality and also personal, you know, points of evolution. You know, I've jumped around a lot in terms of what I've done for a living or whatever. And oh my God, this has gone really long, so I'm going to have to edit it. I'm really sorry. I don't want to edit it. It's supposed to only be half an hour. Okay, but the point is that, you know, once upon a time I was a dancer, and then once upon a time I was an engineer, and then once upon a time I worked at Xerox, and then once upon a time I, you know, worked as the director of engineering at a small technical company. And then once upon a time I, you know, became a mom. And once upon a time I got married for the second time. And once upon a time I, you know, was sort of an artist. And once upon a time I was a, you know, and it's like, well, okay, so trying to put all those pieces together for me has been a really interesting process of, it's not really putting together a puzzle because the pieces morph there. It's more like some sort of recipe, you know, where you can't make the same soup twice. It's like that. It's like you put all the ingredients in and you get this time, and then you put all the ingredients in and you get that next time. But I really envy your, I don't know, that beaming, focused clarity. You have this energy when you talk about your work that is like, you glow. I mean, it's the coolest thing. It's like you're beaming, like you beam. It's beautiful. And I have moments of that, but I also have moments of like, oh my God, it's all going to hell. I don't know who I am. It's like, what? I should just get a job. It's like, no, I should not get a job. That is a bad idea. Okay. New paragraph. Ready?
Yeah.
Okay. So this summer, my people are not here at this moment. My husband is a camp director and he has gone for COVID camp. And my daughter, he decided it was a good idea for her to go to COVID camp too. So she's at a camp that actually does, in fact, have COVID, for fuck's sake. Anyway, she's okay, but I'm not. But that's okay because I will be. Everybody's here. We're okay. Okay. Anyway, so what was I gonna say? Oh, so one of the problems when my people aren't around is I think, yay, introvert time, yay, introvert time. And then all of a sudden it's like, I need affection and my animals are not affectionate. And so all of a sudden one day, this toad started showing up on my front step when I went out to walk the dog at night. And first it was like, hey, toad. And then it was like, okay, I'm going to move you to a safer place. So I'm going to pick you up. I'm going to pick you up and I'm going to carry you to the edge of the yard. And so I pick it up and carry it to the edge of the yard. And then the next night I came out and it was on the steps again. Now the edge of the yard is like 100, it's like 30 yards away. Okay. It's not like a gigantic walk, but I'm picking up this toad and never peed on me or anything. So it's like, and it was waiting for me on the steps. Right. And it's like the same toad. Okay. So I hadn't seen the toad in a couple of days. I was really sad, Rob. I was getting a lot of affectionate moments with this toad. Like I was able to pat it. It leaned into me. It likes getting touched on the right side of its face more than the left. I mean, we had a relationship going on, this toad and I, even though it might not have known that. I even kissed it once. Don't tell. Shh. Okay. So, and don't do that. Just don't. Trust me. Don't kiss toads. You don't. No. So last night I was like, oh my God, there's the toad. And I go to reach out for it. It's like, mother of God, lady, leave me alone. And it like hops away. It wasn't the right toad.
Different toad.
It was the wrong toad. It was like, what the hell? Don't eat me, 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 don't eat me. Like, oh God. I scared the hell out of the toad. It was the wrong toad. Anyway, I don't know where my toad went, but this toad was not my toad. And I feel really bad about it. I scared it pretty badly because there was no question. It was predation. I was running after it with my arms out like, love me, love me, love me in the middle of the night. No, I'm kidding. I'm not kidding. I wish I were kidding.
That's really funny.
Oh God.
That's poor toad is never going to come back. It's going to have the opposing effect. That one is never coming back.
It's never coming back, ever. Never. Oh my God, there's a deer in the side of my yard. Like no shit right now. Like there's a deer right there.
Is there a way to see it? Is there a way to get it without?
I don't know. Can you see it out the window? Or is there too much reflection?
Yeah, I can totally see it between the frame of the swing and the door.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Hi. Hello, wildlife. Welcome to New Hampshire. That's a big deer. Oh, Can you see it move its mouth?
I see it's moving its head a bit, not its mouth.
Okay. Wow, that's so cool.
It seems fitting that we had a visitor from nature.
I think so too. It's not a toad. I'm not going to go try and hug it or anything. Not while we're on the video together. Oh my gosh. Hello, you're beautiful. You're watching me through the window. I see you. Okay, that was. So we joke about the fact that I'm a witch, right? I mean, I don't know if you and I joke about it, but my sister and I joke about the fact that we're witches because we often know that something's going on, but we don't necessarily know what. So the fact that I had a toad visiting me was hysterical. But one of the nights that the toad wasn't here, I had a newt. I had a newt on my porch. When I say porch, I'm talking like just the front step. This isn't a porch. So it was a red eft. I don't know if you know about them, but they're like this and they're vermilion. They're one of my colors. And she's going back into the woods, but very slowly. That's really cool. So anyway, I had Eye of Newt and I had Toe of Frog. So pretty much now all I need is a cauldron, and I do have my crystal ball. Did I show you this yet?
Yes, you did.
Okay,
Absolutely.
I did. Okay, good. So for those of you who have not seen this yet, and if this makes it through editing, this is a citrine orb with internal flaws that create the most spectacular. Oh, you see a lot of my reflection of my my lights in it, but there's rainbows and it's spectacular. What did I have galloping across it? Unicorns, right? Well, it's close enough.
Yeah.
We have a deer who's
Dear,
still
just
staring at.
need to chase it down and go put a horn on it.
If I was going to put a horn on something, it would be the toad, because, you know, horny toads and all that, right? So yeah, she's still looking at me. It's really cool. All right. So just because I need to ask, anything else on your mind? Happiness, joy, all's well? Oh my God, something just fell behind me. I don't know what it was.
It wasn't the light?
No, not this time. Not yet. It's held with blue painter's tape.
The other things on my mind, just recorded my first YouTube ad for the work. So it's new territory that I'm wading into. I've run paid ads before on Facebook with music stuff that I used to do, but this is definitely new with this business. And it's for the Doug and I's workshop, our Dope Up Your LinkedIn Game workshop. So it's done. We're just refining some stuff, but in the next week or so, we're going to be running paid ads on YouTube, which was kind of scary and a bit of an intimidating mind game that I had to get through. But then once I got there mentally, it happened. I was able to record it really quickly, and I'm really happy with how it turned out. And Doug loves it too. Good. So there's that. But yeah, it might seem, it's funny. Like I was talking earlier about, some screw ups and some failures. Like, oh, that's nice to hear. Because people either only put out highlights or people only focus on it. But I put out a failure resume at some point on LinkedIn, maybe a year ago. I said, like, here's a compiled list of my biggest failures. Because I do believe there's some worthiness there. And it's the same thing too. I think people assume that I'm just forever confident and I just go with everything, but some things are hard. And I can tell you last week, I struggled with it mentally, with the idea of recording the video and then, who's going to see it? Is it going to be good enough? And I had these little moments. And then I thought about all the other times where I did something that was scary or intimidating or new and how it worked out. And if it doesn't work out, what's the worst case scenario? We're going to lose a few $100. I don't know if someone says some scathing comments or judgmental things. I don't care. It goes back to, I know this, those aren't my people. Those aren't people that we're meant to work with. Those aren't people who I'd want to spend time with. If I think back to what I was saying earlier in this conversation, I was really excited. I spoke to someone earlier today and they were a total stranger and the conversation went so well and it had me beaming, and I love all my current clients, and every day I look like someone who would have judgmental comments about the finished ad is not someone who's going to bring me that kind of joy. So I don't give a shit. Yeah.
So I was witnessing some beautiful self exposure of some folks of what they considered their sort of hidden life. They had a LinkedIn life and then they had their real life, and they were starting to say, screw it. I'm going to be me here. And here's a picture of me. And in this particular case, it was this person who was, who presented as male, but was wearing this incredible outfit of like this tulle tutu and just this amazing dreadlock situation going on that was very sculptural. I mean, I want to say, but beside, I'm going to get the person's name wrong. Anyway, one of the most gorgeous things I have ever seen, like absolutely beautiful, just totally owning that moment. Now, why was I saying that? Shit, what we were talking about right before that. We were talking about like you had a resume of failures that you'd put out at some point. Yeah. And I think one of the things that we're all afraid of is like someone's going to figure us out, right? This idea of like we're going to be, we have to be a certain way in order for people to like us. And if we're truly our full selves, that somehow that's going to be crappy. And I don't think it was in that one. I think it was a separate post that someone was sort of coming out as themselves. And it was a really brave and beautiful post. And I wrote, there was one asshole comment like really early. And so I jumped on, this is a connection of mine. So I was able to jump on Messenger, and I immediately recorded a audio that just said, "You are magnificent. Now you know who you're not going to work with. You know, let these people, let them show up as assholes, so you know that they're assholes, so you know you don't want to work with them, and, you know, be grateful every single time someone's an asshole, because you know that's not someone you're going to work with." Just like think of it as a filtration system. And it's so easy for me to say, right? Because it wasn't on mine. But that, I totally believe in that. I totally believe in that. I believe in it. So, and I think that, you know, we're lucky when people show themselves, and in the good and the bad, because that helps us navigate who we want to spend time with, who we want to, you know, join energy forces with, and, you know, who we want to learn from. And, you know, being brave doesn't mean not getting hurt. Being brave doesn't mean, you know, not having awful moments. Being brave doesn't mean success. You know, being brave doesn't mean that. I think it means, you know, you kind of, sometimes it takes a bit, you take a couple steps back, and then you run at it, you know. I mean, being brave can be a lot of different things. And, you know, one of the things that I've really, really enjoyed about my incredibly short time on LinkedIn, comparatively speaking, short time on LinkedIn, really showing up on LinkedIn, is the different ways that people have been really super brave, and how inspiring that's been for me. And it's really allowed me to be much more myself. If you check, for people who are watching this compared to the conversation that I had with Doug Lawson, who does work with Rob on the Dope Up Your LinkedIn game, which we're not selling because this isn't for sales, but, you know, if you wanted to check it out, you might want to, because it was good. I went to an early version. I can say that, like, I'm not as afraid of how I'm coming across. You know, I'm willing to talk about toads. I'm willing to show you the deer out the window. And if I edit that out, people are going to be like, toads and deer, what the hell? It's like, trust me, it was in there. Okay. So anyway, I just want to say thank you for joining me in this conversation. I know we covered a lot of bizarre zigs and zags, but that's how my brain works. And I love it.
I don't think it requires any kind of apology or coaching or anything, because that's what makes you who you are. The fact that there's this beautiful picture behind you that you painted, the evidence is on your hand, the deer came to visit, that you are acknowledging that you've made this huge leap from where you were when you did the Doug conversation to
that
now.
was in May. It's like that's such a short period of time, and yet it's not.
While also simultaneously looking, how do you continue to evolve and to grow so that you can be aligned more frequently and more often, and more of your time feel that you're in alignment, versus feeling you're living this dichotomy between, you know, a couple different worlds.
Yeah. So putting the pieces together and making soup. Yes. Or potions, actually, in this case.
Potions. You're making potions.
I'm making potions. That poor toad. Oh my God. It probably didn't sleep at all last night. It's like, I've never seen an owl like that before.
That's so funny.
And she kept on saying, "Why are you running from me? Why are you running from me? I just want to love you." Yeah, that's like, if I had to, like, I swear to God, if I had like a tagline to so much of my life, it would be, "Why are you running from me? Why are you running from me? I just want to love you."
Oh. Amazing.
Oh my God. Oh, okay, so that's that. So I'm going to wrap this up. But if you want to hang on for a second, that'd be great. But anyway, this is Robb Gilbear. And,
thank you for having me.
And I'm so happy that you were here. And I have no idea how I'm going to edit any of this out. It was so exquisite, but I have to, because 30 minutes is my goal. So anyway, thank you, seriously. But don't go anywhere. I'm going to stop recording now.
Thank you.